In this chapter, Marx examines the historical process of the agricultural revolution, its effects on industry, and how it developed into the creation of the home market. In spite of the smaller number of its cultivators, the soil brought forth as much or more produce after as before, because the revolution in the conditions of landed property was accompanied by improved methods of culture, greater cooperation, concentration of the means of production, and because not only were the agricultural wage labourers put on the strain more intensely, but the field of production on which they worked for themselves became more and more contracted. As we saw in chapter 27, the removal of the agricultural population from their land forced them into the towns and cities, creating a labour force that now depend on the wage to purchase their means of subsistence, instead of being able to grow and produce it for themselves. At the same time, however, the revolution and technological advancements in agriculture meant that both fewer labourers were needed in agricultural production, while simultaneously increasing productivity and scale of production. So even though there were less agricultural labourers, more agricultural products were now able to actually be produced. With the setting free of a part of the agricultural population, therefore, their former means of nourishment were also set free. So again, we see the twofold effect that Marx discussed in chapter 15. Not only are the means of subsistence, the food and clothing that were once produced directly by the labourers themselves, now separated from the labourers, requiring them to now purchase them instead, but we also see how the labourers became separated from the means of subsistence. They are forced away from them and so rely on becoming waged workers to again obtain access to them. Thus, hand in hand with the expropriation of the self-supporting peasants, with their separation from their means of production, goes the destruction of rural domestic industry, the process of separation between manufacture and agriculture. As well as this development, we also see how the means of production became separated from their immediate producers. Where once both the agricultural and handicraft workers laboured on their own lands for their own immediate use and local needs, they are now instead forced from their land and into the cities. This now creates both a clear distinction between the city or industry and the country or production of means of subsistence, while also leaving the production of raw materials that are needed for industrial production solely in the hands of the capitalist farmer, who now produces and sells the products to the industrial cities. Or to put it simply, the commodification of production. What was once produced for use instead became produced for sale. We can observe then the creation of the labour market and the creation of the market for the means of subsistence and means of production, all of which instead become available as material elements of variable and constant capital for industrial capitalists, or a home market. These raw materials and means of subsistence have now become commodities.